just make sure that it's actually on Twitch. We are on Twitch. Perfect. Awesome. Hello, everyone. I'm Shreya. This is Ganning. We're going to wait a couple of minutes just to see if anyone drops by the live stream. And if not, this session will be recorded, so you can watch it in your own time afterwards as well. Cool. I'll post a little message in Discord. We are live. Fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and get this started so we're not waiting for too long, but hi, everyone. This is going to be an introduction to the global student community. So if you are part of the global student community, hopefully you already have access to the Discord. That is going to be our main place of discussion and communication. Everything that happens will take place on Discord directly. Every announcement that will be made will go there. And then we'll talk a little bit more about our knowledge base. But if you want access to our Notion knowledge base where everything is documented for the long run, you can access it on bitproject.org/serverless/summer 2022. I want to make sure that you get a chance to meet our team really quickly. So this is our Meet the Team slide. My name is Shreya. I am the co-founder and director of operations at BitProject. We started this organization as a small UC Davis club, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and it has now grown into a massive global student organization with well over 1,700 students part of our community. So this is really exciting to see how things have grown. And we will post more information about how you can get involved over time as well. So if you're interested in joining our team before or during or after the camp, just feel free to reach out to me and we'll share that information with you. Ganning, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Ganning. I'm currently a high school junior at the North Carolina School of Science and Math. It's kind of interesting how Shreya just mentioned global, right? So she's in California. I'm in North Carolina. That was pretty cool. Yeah. And yeah, so I was actually part of the summer 2021 serverless camp cohort. I was a student there, and now I'm a co-director of engineering. So what that basically means is I'm just working on the serverless camp, making sure that everything's ready to go, recording all the steps, making sure everything's ironed out. And yeah. Emily actually couldn't make it today, so I'll give her a short intro as well. She's actually an incoming freshman at UNC Chapel Hill, and she was also a student in the spring 2020 serverless camp cohort. So she was a student before me, and she's also a co-director of engineering. So yeah, she's working on the same stuff I am. Pretty cool.
Yep. So you'll actually get a chance to interact with Ganning and Emily a lot over the course of the summer because they're the ones that are responsible for the actual learning program, the GitHub bot, everything in terms of like learning serverless. They're responsible for. They're the ones who will put you in contact with mentors and everything as well. Our Misha Patel, our director of partnerships, will be joining us later, so I'll let her introduce herself then. Daniel Kim is our co-founder and president, and he is going to be, you'll see him hanging around the Discord and at other events in the future. And then Beatrix is our community manager, so she's the one who's posting on Discord and kind of letting you know about all of our events and things that are taking place. What if the Discord link we received is expired? That is entirely my fault. Ganning, do you mind going over to the Discord and getting an invite and sending that in the chat real quick? Thank you.
Yes, I will send that right now.
Yes, and if you're watching this later and you'd have an expired link, then we'll post one in the YouTube video description and you can get that from there as well. So sorry about that. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. So I'm going to do a brief overview of the GSC. A lot more information about this program is going to be released over the course of the next few months. It's April, so we're like well ahead of time right now, but I do want to make sure you know what you're getting into as soon as possible, and there's no like weird surprises before you reach the summer. So it is a completely free 8 to 10 week bootcamp, coding bootcamp. So the first 4 weeks of the bootcamp are just learning. You're going to be going over the course that Ganning and Emily have designed. You're just going to be doing tasks and like learning how serverless works, learning to work with APIs, all of those things that Ganning will talk about later. It is a structured learning platform. So we have a course of week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 that you follow. And there's no like strict deadlines, but for your own best learning experience, we suggest that you stay on track with all of the other students. And any external resources that you need to make your learning experience great are going to be provided to you by Bit Project, which means that every student out of all of the hundreds of students that are participating in the GSC, every one of you will have like a specific budget that is allocated to you. And if you need access to resources for things like your final project, which take place in the last 4 weeks of the camp, if you need access to software, any learning tools, if you need hardware, if you want to integrate some sort of hardware into your serverless project, we will give you like a form that you can fill out, and we will ship all of those materials over to you. So please don't pay for anything. If you need access to anything, reach out to us and we will make sure to get that to you. There will be some like ifs and buts in that, which is we need to make sure that you are actively participating in the course before we can spend that money on you, but we'll release more information on that later. It is also a completely virtual experience, so you don't need to worry about going to any in-person events, any meetups, nothing like that. Everything will be held on Discord, on Twitch, on an online platform. We'll share like the ability to join those spaces with you on our Discord, and yeah, everything's virtual. And then if you want to know about how the course is structured, actually, let me go ahead and I'll go over the Notion right now just so that you know what you're getting into there as well. So give me 1 second. Bitproject.org, serverless 2022. Okay, you can't see the screen just yet. Again, can you see this Notion now?
Yep, I can see it.
Sweet. So this is going to be our Notion page. We'll link this in our Discord as well, so you have access to it. Every piece of announcement, every event that we're going to talk about, everything related to how the program works will be documented here. So this is like your single source of truth. If you don't want to watch videos, if you don't want to join live streams, you just want to read and get information as quickly as possible, this is the place to go. For students, there's a section over here. You can check out like how we schedule meetings and events. It's just a brief overview. There will be general events. There will be a presentation day I'll talk about in a minute. And there's going to be a conference. And then a virtual experience. So this is just, again, overview of all of the events that we know are going to be taking place. So any deadlines, we're going to talk about the first 4 weeks of curriculum. We're going to have the final 4 weeks of the project. There's going to be a recruitment week during that time where companies are going to come tell you about all of the roles that they're hiring for. They might start interviewing students around that time. They're going to be doing Q&As so you can learn more about their companies and their hiring process. We'll do workshops so we can prepare you for interviews with those companies. Any resources available will happen during that specific week for recruitment. I want to add recruitment or just general experience wise. If there's like an event or a workshop that you really want us to do and you want us to prepare for you, like you're really interested in learning how serverless works with a specific type of hardware, let us know as early as possible so we can get that resource to you. We can find someone to host those workshops for you. If you're interested, like you really want a resume workshop, that most probably will happen, but you really want to make sure it happens, just let us know on Discord and it will happen. And then after the final 4 weeks of the project are done, you can submit your CF piece to the conference. So this is open to every single student in the GSC. You can submit your projects. If you're in the mentorship program, then you're guaranteed a spot in the conference. And you can prepare for the conference. And if you don't make it to the conference, but you did build a project for the hackathon, then, or the last 4 weeks of the course, then you will get a chance to present those projects afterwards anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and I think Yanning, you're next.
Yeah, so I'll give a brief overview of our curriculum for the Intro to Serverless program. Just for this slide, I'll give a very, very rough overview and I'll go into more detail in the following slides. So weeks 1 to 4, like Shreya said, it will be learning about various serverless topics like APIs, how to read documentation and that stuff. And then weeks 5 to 8 will be you actually creating your own project. And yeah, we'll be going into more detail about this on the later slides. But also, our curriculum is all on GitHub, right? So as I said before, everything's free, it's open source, and yeah, you can just go on there and then go ahead and use our learning repo, just install our GitHub bot, and then yeah. And then something that we're also using this year is going to be Counselor Bot. So it's going to be, it's just a GitHub bot that will guide you through every single step of the way, right? So as you write code, it's going to check your code for you, making sure that everything that you write is actually correct. Yeah, if you'll go to the next slide, Shreya. Yeah, so for week 1 of our curriculum, we're going to be going over Git and serverless basics, right? So the first thing we're going to be doing is setting up our learning repo, getting started with Counselor Bot, then also getting started with VS Code, Git, and GitHub, and teaching how to do all of that. And instead of doing like a lot of basic Hello World stuff, we're going to be diving straight into Azure Functions. So the first thing that we're going to be creating is Hacker Voice, which is going to be an API endpoint. That's an Azure function that checks whether or not a password you sent is actually the correct password that you need to authenticate that endpoint with. The second thing we're going to be creating is the ToCats API, and it's going to be an Azure function that returns pictures of cats. And then the last Azure function we're going to be creating in week 1 is going to be the top secret API. This one's pretty cool. So you basically send your Azure function a plain string of text, and then in the end, you'll be able to get back that string of text in Morse code. So it converts from plain text to Morse code. If you want to go to week 2. Yeah, so week 2 is actually one of my favorite weeks because it's super cool. And in week 2, we're going to be working with a bunch of different APIs. So on the screen, you'll see that we're working with the Twilio API, the Jiffy API, and the Microsoft Cognitive Services API. And with these APIs, you'll learn how to read documentation on them, which often it might be a little boring, but it's very useful when you actually want to create your own projects. And you'll learn how to integrate these APIs into future projects that you create. Right. So in week 2, 2 of the main projects that we're going to be creating is, first one is called emotional GIFs, or GIFs, however you pronounce that. And the overall goal of emotional GIFs is going to be, you're going to be able to send an image of yourself to an Azure function, right? And with that Azure function, you'll be able to get back a GIF that matches your emotion in that image you sent. So whether that be happiness, sadness, anger, excited, and we're going to be able to analyze your emotion through that image you sent using Microsoft Azure. After that, we're going to be going through songforyou.js. And this is another Azure function where using your phone, you can text a Twilio phone number, right? And Twilio is just a service that provides you with phone numbers. And yeah, it's all free, by the way, so don't worry about that. Yeah, so you'll be able to text a phone number, an image of yourself, and that Azure function you create will be able to analyze that image, and it will be able to give you back a song based on the age that it thinks you are. Yeah, so for week 3, this is going to be working with databases. So mainly storing and retrieving data, creating useful applications. Yeah, the stuff you learn in this week, a lot of it reflects in real world projects that you can create, something such as like login systems, for example. Right, so the first thing that we're going to be creating in week 3 is called the Bunny Image API. And this was actually Emily's final project when she was a serverless student. But yeah, so Bunny Image is essentially, it's almost a Dropbox clone. So if you've ever used Dropbox before, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to upload an image from one device, such as a phone, and you'll be able to download it on another device, such as your computer. After that, we're going to be creating the Deep Secrets API. This one's a little bit more playful. So basically, you'll be able to text a phone number, a secret that you're willing to confess, maybe your deepest, darkest secrets. And then your Azure function will send back a text for you that's a secret that someone else confessed. So you're giving in a secret and you're getting back a secret that someone else confessed, except you don't know who confessed the other secret. Pretty cool. And yeah, so for week 4, we're going to be tying everything together, right? So we're going to be actually creating the user interface that from the Azure functions that we created in weeks 1 to 3. So we're going to take those Azure functions and then we're going to create a front end for the user. So everyday people, maybe people who don't code every day, they'll be able to access your Azure function and stuff that you can, that stuff that you created. So for the Bunny Image front end, what we'll be building is we're going to be building a front end that uses your Azure function in week 3, and it allows any user to upload and download a file. So maybe you're on your phone, you access this front end, and you upload an image of work that you need for a test. And then later on your computer, you can download that image, and then you'll be able to upload it into your testing portal. So it's pretty useful. And then the second one, it's going to be called the ToCats front end app. And this one is, all it is it just allows you to interact with your Azure function from week 1, and it allows users to specify a name that they want to see on a cat picture, and the app will return a picture with that name on that cat. Pretty playful. Yeah, that's week 4. And yeah, for weeks 5 to 8, this, in my opinion, is the most rewarding part of the camp. It's creating your own projects. For resumes, these projects that you create can be added to resumes, job interviews, and most importantly, it's a culmination of everything that you've learned in the past 4 weeks, and to create anything that you want, really. Right. So previous projects that some people in Serverless Camp have created, saving money on Amazon. This was created by Fifi in spring of 2020. That cohort, this project essentially tracks when Amazon prices for a certain product would lower by a set amount, and it would text the user whenever that product the product's price is lowered. So you're able to spend not as much money. Next project that we're going to be talking about is preventing subway delays. This was created in the summer 2021 cohort. So it's basically a social media app for New York subway users that allows users to tell each other if there is anything that would hinder or cause a delay in getting in and out of a subway station. After that, we have a Slack bot, which was created by David, who is actually a US Army veteran in summer of 2021. And it's a Slack bot that allows for students to automatically, or to text a question to in Slack, and then they'll get an automatic response using machine learning, right? So these questions would be just questions about the curriculum, maybe like, how do I create a pull request, right? So it creates just an automated experience. And then next one, which one I thought was pretty interesting. So for those of you who are trying to date, but you can't find a place to eat, this app is for you, right? So it's called Dine the Distance. And basically what you do is you input your city and your partner city and the type of cuisine that you want to eat at. Then the app will pick a place between both of y'all's locations with the cuisine that you want. So it reduces that struggle for you. Then there's also a couple of more projects on there. I won't go through them just for the sake of time, but if you want to learn more about them, they're all on blogs at bitproject.org/serverless. So I know I just went through that pretty quickly. So if there are any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will answer them there.
Awesome. We'll wait a couple of minutes on this slide just in case there's questions. And if you have questions and you want to ask them later or privately, again, Discord is always there. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, just leave your questions. We'll have a Q&A at the end, so we'll come back to it afterwards. And next up, we have mentorship. So Misha, do you mind actually introducing yourself a little bit? Because we didn't get a chance to do that earlier.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Misha. I am the Director of Partnerships here at BitProject. So basically, my role is handling all of our relationships with our really cool mentors that we have for everyone here, and then also things like sponsors or partnerships with other nonprofits would all fall under what I do. But yeah, let me talk a little bit more about mentorship for the global student community, because it's a really cool thing that we're adding this year, and I'm really excited about it. Do you want to switch to the next slide? Sure. Thanks. Yeah, so mentors in our serverless program are basically industry experts who are volunteering their time to help our students. So a lot of them will be software engineers, but some of them might be like program managers or just like other roles within the tech industry. But one thing they have in common is that they all have a lot of knowledge and a lot of expertise about serverless and all the different types of technologies that you guys are using throughout the course. So they're really, really good resources that you guys can use to get help at any point during the program. So going into how exactly mentorship will work, the main place that students will be able to ask questions about the curriculum will be our Q&A forum. We haven't decided exactly what platform that will be hosted on, but all of that information will come between now and the camp start, and we will make sure to update everyone. But basically, this Q&A forum will be a place where anyone in the program can ask questions about the curriculum from week to week, and mentors will be actively monitoring this forum, and they will be able to answer all of your questions on there. So that'll be really great for just curriculum specific things. Our other platform that we will use for all of our communication throughout the course will be Discord. So on there, the Bit Project team like us, me, Shreya, Ganning, will be able to send out announcements and stuff. But another really cool part of Discord for you guys is that you'll be able to interact with the mentors directly on there. So we're going to have some open channels for mentors and students to just talk about anything. So that'll be a way for you guys, if you ever have questions that aren't about the curriculum, maybe you're interested in certain tech topics that you noticed a mentor does in their day-to-day job, or maybe you have questions about their career, the company they work at, even if it's not about tech, like anything is fine. If they have like a cool hobby that you also share, you can talk about that too. Really, this is just a place for mentors and students to build relationships and just be able to talk about anything. And you guys will have that as a resource. And the other couple things in Discord that are related to the curriculum is mentors are going to be leading weekly discussions, or AMAs, which stands for Ask Me Anything, about certain curriculum topics. So basically, from week to week, we'll have different topics, and depending on what the topic is and which mentors have an expertise in that certain area, some of them will come up with some weekly topic that people can start discussing that kind of it's like related to the curriculum, but it's not the same as just talking about the curriculum or asking questions on the Q&A forum. It'll be like a little more involved, a little encompass a little more than just the curriculum. Like you guys can talk about kind of like its real world impacts, or just, things that are not just the, few lessons that you guys are doing in the course. So that'll be a cool way to really understand how the curriculum plays a part, or like how it plays a part in the real world, in the tech industry, how people use it day to day. And then the last thing that mentors are going to be doing is sharing resources related to the curriculum. So from week to week, as the curriculum progresses, they'll share some outside resources that they think, in their experience, could be useful for someone who's learning the topic. So those won't necessarily be Bit project or serverless camp material, but it can be like links to documentation, or like some videos that they think are really helpful, just anything that they themselves have maybe used as a resource and think you guys would benefit from. Yeah, we can move on to the next slide. Yeah, so one other thing that is kind of an extra thing that we are doing this year is mentors will have the option to host technical talks and workshops throughout the summer. So these will have more details about what these technical talks and workshops are going to look like as they come. Right now, we're just as students are still applying, mentors are also still applying. So once we do finalize all of our mentors and start talking to all of them, we'll have more details. But basically, a couple of topics that we're thinking that would probably be included are interview prep, tech industry experience. So mentors talking about just like kind of their whole career journey and what they've learned, how to get into tech, and developer productivity. So mentors talking about kind of like what tools and what things they use from day to day as a developer that could be helpful for people who want to get into tech. And these workshops and tech talks will be especially interesting because it'll be, it won't be related to the curriculum. It might not even be related to a specific technical topic. It can really range from, like I said, the topics above, but also just like anything the mentors come in and are really passionate about. So it'll be a really cool chance for you guys to hear about certain topics from people who, like day to day, not just in their day jobs, but outside of their jobs, they're super, super passionate about these topics. So they're the best resource to learn from about these things. So that will be something that you guys can look forward to. Yeah, that's okay. That was the end of the slideshow.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so no, you're good. You're good. But yeah, that's basically an overview of how mentorship is going to work. We're really excited to have all of these mentors on board and provide a resource to all of the students in the community. So yeah, if anyone has any questions about mentorship, like we did before, you guys can put it in the chat and I can answer it now, or if you guys come up with questions later, I can always answer it later too. I'll also be in the Discord, so if people have questions and want to DM me on Discord, that's fine as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to see if we can finish this presentation before 10:30. So if you have mentorship questions, please leave them in the chat and we will address them at the end during the Q&A section. But I'm just gonna very briefly talk about community engagement and how that's gonna work for everyone in the GSC. Actually, Ganning, do you want to talk about this slide?
Sure, I can do that. I know like going straight into Azure Functions, that might be a lot to handle at first. So we did create an intro to JavaScript course for y'all. But basically, I'll send this link in the chat later, by the way, but the link is bit.ly/bitprj-intro to JS. And basically in this course, what we're going to be learning is JavaScript, Git, and GitHub, but most importantly, Googling, I would say, right? So because a large part of this camp is going to be independent learning, I would say, but also we're still going to be here if you do have any questions. So we want you to learn like how to solve problems by your own and by yourself, how to learn stuff by yourself, and yeah. So yeah, this is our Intro to JavaScript course. It's free. It's actually open right now. You'll need to install Counselor Bot on it, but we have directions in the README of the GitHub repository. And so you can complete this at any time, really. But we will actually have focus sessions for this repository and how to complete this Intro to JavaScript course from May 15th to May 31st. So even though you can complete at any time, these focus sessions will be where we'll have work sessions. So you'll be able to get help on this if you need help and ask questions. And yeah, so this, I'll send the link right now, but this repo is designed to almost be like a precursor or like a prereq to the actual serverless program.
Yeah, I just want to add, I think Ganning already said this, but it is not required. So you are not expected to take this course, but it will prepare you for it. So if you're like slightly iffy on your JavaScript skills or you have no coding experience and you're going into it and you have like a couple of hours, hopefully you have a couple of hours before June to just prepare for it, just set aside 2 hours and knock it out. Or like Ganning mentioned, join us between May 15th and 31st, and we'll host multiple work sessions where we can just knock it out together. Okay, let me go on to the next slide. So group learning, we're going to make sure over the course of the first 4 weeks while you're building out, like you're just going through the serverless project, that you have work sessions where you can meet with other students and just make sure you can talk to each other. It'll be more of like a virtual classroom environment. We'll have specific areas in the Kumo space area just labeled to say, here, if you're working on week 1, step 2, join everyone who's working on that specific step, ask each other questions. We will not have instructors or mentors in those areas just because we can't guarantee that people can make it at those times. So if you have questions, you will still have to default to using the forum and asking questions there, but you can ask each other questions. And yeah, pretty much it. It's a great place to socialize. So we'll have sections where you can socialize with each other. You can network with people. If you find someone who's like software engineers taking the course right now, you can ask them about their experiences. That actually brings an important point as well. The GSC is not just college or high school students. There are people that are in the tech industry that are taking this program. There are people that are in other industries that are coming in trying to get into tech, taking this program. So there's a diverse set of people that you can learn from and kind of talk to and be friends with. And we'll have safety mechanisms installed as well. So if you see someone messing around or being mean or something, then we will not be allowing that kind of behavior, and we'll make sure that you're having a good, fun, safe learning environment. And yeah, we will have community managers that are there to make sure that you're safe and that you're happy and that it's a good experience. They will not be like listening in on your conversations or anything, but they will be there, most likely Beatrix and her team. And then recruitment week. So this is going to most likely take place between July 18th and 24th. Dates might change depending on our sponsors' availability, but we're going to have one big interview panel between an hour to 2 hour long where we'll have software engineers and recruiters sitting on a virtual environment and just answering questions that we have, that you have about the job search process, about personal branding. That includes resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, GitHub profiles, all those types of things. Preparing for interviews, both behavioral and technical. So if you're going for software engineering roles and you want to really learn what that experience is like, it can be drastically different depending on the company and the role that you're going for. So that's a great place to ask questions about it. And this general Q&A for any questions that you have for those types of people. And then companies will, or they can choose to have open Q&As about their specific hiring process and roles that are open within their company. So we'll have those scheduled over the course of that specific week as well. And they'll be like around half an hour, varying. But yeah, if you want to get a chance to like meet a recruiter one-on-one, make an impact and get them to know your name and face, then that's a great place to go. Serverless hacks. So we're kind of branding the last 4 weeks of the program into a hackathon. So there's going to be prizes. It's going to be fun. There's going to be workshops. It's going to be basically everything that 24, 48 hours. It's going to be a period of 4 weeks. Most important point is that it's going to be a maximum of 2 people per team. So you're not going to, like regular hackathons, I think you have 3 or 4 people in teams. We want to prioritize your learning. Personally, I don't care how cool your project is. I care more about whether you learned something new, that you were able to develop like a good new software engineering skill. So that's what we focus on when you're like submitting your projects. We don't look at how awesome your project idea was. We look at how you're able to communicate what you learned over the course of these 4 weeks or over the course of the 8 weeks if you did the 4 weeks as well of the serverless curriculum. You're not required to take the serverless curriculum to participate in this hackathon. You're not required to use Azure for these projects. You are required to take Azure if you're submitting to the conference. That's separate. We'll have a whole Q&A about that on a different day. But yeah, serverless generally, it can be Azure, it can be AWS, it can be GCP, it can be an entirely different serverless provider. So that's going to happen. 21st August is the deadline for project submissions. We'll give more details on what that means, but it's so far off. Like, I don't think you need to know that information right now. And August 26th to 28th, on one of those days, we're going to have a project presentation section where we're just going to be live streaming all of the presentations. Those presentations will most likely be pre-recorded, so you don't have to specifically be there in person at that time. If you're busy, if you're vacationing, don't worry about it. As long as you've submitted your project, you'll be good to go. Yeah, and that live stream will be shared with all of the students, all of the mentors, all of our sponsors, and just anyone in our community. It will be public facing as well, so other people can join in if they want to. And more information will always be written into our Notion, which is linked at the bottom of this slide. That's it. That's all we have for today. I went like 2 minutes over time, but do you have any questions? We will wait here for like a couple of minutes. And if you have questions, we will try to address them. And if you don't, then you can always come back with questions later on Discord. Also, thanks Scanning and Misha for joining me. I know Misha's busy right now. She has work, but we will try to have more events like this where you can ask questions. And again, you don't have to watch this recording. You don't have to watch these live streams. Everything will be written into Notion and announced on Discord. Okay. I don't think we have any questions. So thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to see you around the Discord later. Bye.